Audio Jungle.
Hello and welcome to Mexico News Network's Breaking News. Thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Elisa Carballo, and we have wonderful and excellent information for you guys coming right ahead. But before we start, let me just quickly remind you where we are. We are in the beautiful Riviera Maya in El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma, a wonderful adults-only gourmet-inclusive hotel in the heart of the Mexican Caribbean. Now stay informed 24/7 by logging on to our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com, and do not forget to also follow us on social networks. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus as Mexico News Network. Now let's begin with today's most relevant stories. The key element to the development of Latin America and the oxygen that the country needs to reach the technological level of first world economies is the internet. The more advanced services get, the more people it will need access to internet, mainly to mobile networks. This, according to Thaddeus Arroyo, Chief Executive Officer of AT&T Mexico and now Iusacell, during an exclusive interview with Mexico News Network. Now, with the recent acquisition of wireless operators Nextel in the US and Iusacell in Mexico, AT&T is very much committed to expanding its services to 100 million Mexicans, using its experience as the leading telecommunications company in the United States. Bringing the aforementioned companies together in Mexico is part of the entire plan. Now, the expansion of the company's coverage from 8 million customers to 100 million is nothing short of ambitious and will take a couple of years to do. One of the main challenges that the company will have to deal with is to create a business model that will take into account the country's needs and consumer habits. But what will be the next investment in this new revolution of Mexican telecommunications market? Mr. Arroyo said that at this point, they are not disclosing because in fact, they are in the middle of planning this multi-year journey that they have right now as of today. But they will frankly be investing in the years to come ahead to expand these services, to expand their coverage for the people they serve today and will continue to serve in the future. As a participant and speaker at the World Economic Forum in Latin America 2015, Mr. Arroyo explained to his peers that the internet is more than human rights. It is in fact one of the keys to decreasing educational, social, and economic inequality that plagues Latin American nations. However, in Mexico, with a great network that is not yet capable of providing even phone services or internet to remote populations, how would the company provide these benefits? He added that they will be looking at options to serve those communities. However, right now they are frankly just expanding to hit that percentage of the population. He also admitted that frankly for them, it is an important part of the focus because they want to serve more people with tomorrow's new technology. Now, moving along with more information, during the 10th edition of the World Economic Forum Latin America 2015, politician leaders, entrepreneurs, and renowned members of the society gathered in the Riviera Maya last week to discuss about the economic and social improvement of Latin American countries. Under this entire context, all of them coincide in one point: education. No economy and no society either can grow without the adequate academic instruction. It is a fact that a nation can export an enormous amount of products. However, its most valuable treasure is definitely its people. Through research, innovation, and technological development, professionals can transform the economy of any given nation. According to experts, the challenge for the next 5 or 10 years will be the enforcement of human resources. Tomás González, which is Colombia's Minister of Mines and Energy, stated that more than education, young people need to be closely involved with the field, with public as well as private companies from the moment they start their studies. It is a proven fact that the young workforce are the ones who are transforming industries through technology and daring solutions that can slow climate change and implement new strategies. To exemplify this, we have the case of Mexican engineers. Ignacio Sanchez Galan, Executive Director of Iberdrola Spain, highlighted that Mexico stands out for the excellence of its engineers who, during the last few years, have developed important innovations in almost every single field. But does Mexico import or export talent, you may wonder? Emilio Lozoya, CEO of Pemex, stated that Mexico has not yet developed this sector quite yet. Regardless, it's obvious that the nation holds great talent and skills from students who year after year graduate from Mexican universities and institutions. And in other news, award-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz shared his insights on inequality and growth in Latin America during the 10th World Economic Forum on Latin America, which took place at the Riviera Maya's Grand Velas Hotel last Friday. Mr. Stiglitz, who shared the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics in 2001 and served as the Clinton administration's chief economic advisor, reviewed the rates of success of past and present policies implemented by Latin American countries. Even though he has never favored high levels of government regulation, the Columbia Business School professor is very much known for his third way, which considers the limited role of government to be important and is against the total dysregulation of entire markets. He is also known for bucking assumptions about socioeconomic growth going hand in hand with inequality. Mr. Stiglitz said during the session, which was mediated by Cinépolis' CEO Alejandro Ramirez, that they used to think that there was trade-off, so you could have more equality or more growth. Now, according to Stiglitz, growth and equality are more accurately perceived as complements of one another rather than mutually exclusive. As the title of his most recent book suggests, nations actually pay a price for inequality. You can have more growth if you reduce the extremes of inequality, he added. Mr. Stiglitz pointed to Latin America's natural resource curse, a historically excessive dependence on natural resources, as a major factor behind erratic and unequal growth patterns, citing Venezuela as a poster child for this. However, he did praise the way other countries, namely Chile and Mexico, have dealt with this curse. Both countries, for instance, are hallmark examples of resource economies. However, Chile created a stabilization fund fed by its massive copper revenues, much in the same way Norway has done its government pension fund, which is sustained by oil revenues. Now, while Mexico's plans for a similar policy are currently still on the drawing table, Mr. Stiglitz cited the Oportunidades program, which channels the nation's wealth to the country's poorest citizens, conditional upon the fulfillment of certain requisites such as regular school attendance of children in the household, health clinic visits, and nutritional support. Usually the funds are handed directly from the government to household mothers. Oportunidades, this program, which is the first true conditional cash transfer program in the world, has in fact been wildly hailed for its role in breaking the cycle of poverty in families all across Mexico, and has also been emulated and adapted by countries in Latin America and beyond. Even though Stiglitz expressed being impressed with the way both countries reduced inequality and thus promoted growth, he was also very sober on remarking that more was still needed. Mexico, for instance, was earnestly advised to raise its current minimum wage. He also cautioned that monetary policy alone might not be sufficient to address inequality, as racial, gender-based, and geographical discrimination have been instrumental in perpetuating it. Even though Latin America is no stranger to discrimination, he used the example of Black Americans being discriminated against for employment in the American South during the segregation era to illustrate his entire point. In this entire sense, prejudice is not a moral issue. It actually takes an economic toll. Mr. Stiglitz also expressed being critical to the Trans-Pacific Alliance currently being discussed by 12 countries, stating his concerns with the way private companies could potentially sue governments for loss of profits or even failure to attain expected profits. In addition, he also expressed his concern with the way talks have been taking place entirely in secret. Some people think that the opposition to this as anti-trade, he stated. It is not against trade. If it were a true trade agreement, they would be fully up for it, he stated. Now, moving along with more information, according to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, Mexico's economy will experience very important growth in its gross domestic product. Eventually, it is expected to surpass that of Spain, Holland, and even Russia, whose economies have been affected by the increasing global strength of the American dollar. This situation per se, which is expected to remain for the next few years, has affected foreign currencies such as the euro, which has lost great power due to a monetary relief program introduced by the European Central Bank. The IMF foresees an estimated 3% growth in Mexico's gross domestic product, which would in fact raise its position from the 14th to the 13th place in the IMF's international ranking of economies. Spain's economic development has been calculated to grow by 2.5% in 2015. Robert Reinhart, Deputy Director of the Western Hemisphere Department of the International Monetary Fund, explained that Mexico's rising and thriving economy strength obeys four main factors: the recovery in construction sector, foreign investment, maintaining consumption rates, and the strengthening of the American economy. All of these factors are very much expected to guide the country's economic outlook for 2015. Now, in regard to his statement, Mr. Reinhart added that the United States will also continue to be in the top ranking, followed by China, Japan, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Now, don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more information on Mexico, the world of science and technology, after these few messages.
Audio Jungle.